Yeah, 18, Prabhu.
Just a second, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, Hare Krishna Dinanath Gauranga Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our Gurudevs. And thank you so very much for being the host today for this Srimad Bhagavatam class. And it's a great honor, it's a great privilege for me to be considered for giving this class. And so I humbly seek the blessings of the assembled Vaishnavas so that I am empowered by your mercy and blessings to do justice to this service that has been given to me today. So let's start with the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyatato Jayamudiraet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So as Dinanath Gauranga Prabhu tells us, we are on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 18, and the verse is 18, which goes like this. Suta uvacha aho vayam janma bhritodhyahasma vriddhanuvrityapi viloma jataha daushkulyam adhim vidunoti shighram mahattamanam abhidhana yogaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Sutta Goswami said, O God, although we are born in a mixed caste, we are still promoted in birthright simply by serving and following the great who are advanced in knowledge. Even by conversing with such great souls, one can, without delay, cleanse oneself of all disqualifications resulting from lower births. Purport. Sutta Goswami did not take his birth in a Brahmana family. He was born in a family of mixed caste or an uncultured low family. But because of higher association, like Sri Shukadev Goswami and the great rishis of Naimisharanya, certainly the disqualification of inferior birth was washed off. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu followed this principle in pursuance of the Vedic usages, and by his transcendental association, he elevated many low-born or those disqualified by birth or action to the status of devotional service and established them in the position of acharyas or authorities. He clearly stated that any man, whatever he may be, whether a Brahmana or Shudra by birth, or a householder or mendicant in the order of society, if he is conversant with the science of Krishna, he can be accepted as an acharya or guru, a spiritual master. Sutta Goswami learned the science of Krishna from great rishis and authorities like Shukadev and Vyasadeva, and he was so qualified that even the sages of Naimisharanya eagerly wanted to hear from him the science of Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. So he had the double association of great souls by hearing and preaching. Transcendental science or the science of Krishna has to be learned from the authorities. And when one preaches the science, he becomes still more qualified. So, Sutta Goswami had both the advantages, and thus undoubtedly he was completely freed from all disqualifications of low birth and mental agonies. This verse definitely proves that Srila Sukadev Goswami did not refuse to teach Sutta Goswami about the transcendental science, nor did the sages of Naimisharanya refuse to hear lessons from him because of his inferior birth. This means that thousands of years ago, there was no bar to learning or preaching the transcendental science because of inferior birth. The rigidity of the so-called caste system in Hindu society became prominent within only 100 years or so, when the number of Dvija Bandhus or disqualified men in the families of higher castes increased. Lord Sri Chaitanya revived the original Vedic system, and he elevated Thakur Haridas to the position of Nam Acharya, or the authority in preaching the glories of the holy name. Although His Holiness Srila Haridas Thakur was pleased to appear in a family of Mohammedans, such is the power of pure devotees of the Lord. The Ganges water is accepted as pure, and one can become purified after taking a bath in the waters of the Ganges. But as far as the great devotees of the Lord are concerned, they can purify a degraded soul even by being seen by the lowborn. And what to speak of association? Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to purify the whole atmosphere of the polluted world by sending qualified preachers all over the world, and it remains with the Indians to take up this task scientifically and thus do the best kind of humanitarian work. The mental diseases of the present generation are more acute than bodily diseases. It is quite fit and proper to take up preaching the message of Srimad Bhagavatam all over the world without delay. Mahattamanam Abhidan also means dictionary of great devotees, or a book full of the words of great devotees. Such a dictionary of the words of great devotees and those of the Lord are in the Vedas and allied literatures, specifically the Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Tabodavaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Chandramauli Swami Niti Namini Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadesh Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, this is actually a very, very important verse for us to understand the great power of pure devotees of the Lord, and also the power of this Krishna consciousness movement, this Bhakti Marg, which can elevate even one born in a dog eater's family to the highest position of perfection of the human form of life. Srila Prabhupada, when he began this movement in the West, he was heavily criticized by many people, especially caste Hindus, for giving initiation to the mlechas and yavanas, the meat eaters and the very low grade, degraded caste of the Western degraded civilization, because the Westerners are engaged in so many sinful activities and it is considered normal for them. So how can these people be elevated? So that time, Srila Prabhupada gave the example from the scriptures that even Lord Chaitanya himself elevated the great devotees to the position of Namacharya. He made Sanatan and Rupa Goswami the teachers of the science of Krishna consciousness. They were Sakar Malik and Dabir Khas because they were employed in the Mohammedan government. That too, they took up this position because the Muslims were in power and they threatened actually these two brothers. If you do not join, we will harass the Hindus. So, both because they knew that it would not be wise to oppose them. And because somebody had to do the job, they took up that responsibility. But because the caste system was so rigid, at once they were excommunicated. And sorry about this, I'll turn it off. My apologies. They were at once excommunicated and treated as though they had become Mohammedans. This was how rigid it had become, the caste system. But Sutta Goswami, even though he's born in a low family, because he is associating with the great devotees of the Lord like Shukadev Goswami and the great rishis of Naimisharanya, what happens? He is himself purified by hearing the pure message of the Lord. And we will see in certain verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam where the power of the pure devotees of the Lord is being described. In fact, Yudhishthir Maharaj says to Vidur, after he comes back from the places of pilgrimage, he says, you yourself sanctify the places of pilgrimage. What to speak of going to the places of pilgrimage? Because you carry the personality of God within your heart, you yourself purify even a place of pilgrimage. And Srila Prabhupada in that purport goes on to explain that actually going to a holy place means not just going and seeing the temple and the Lord and taking a bath in Yamuna or Ganga, but to seek out holy people and hear about the Lord. This is the actual benefit of going to the holy places, because the pure devotees of the Lord carry the personality of Godhead within their hearts, and they can give us pure devotion to the Lord. So, let's look at this particular verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi Shudra Kene Noi, Se Krishna Tattva Se Guru Hoy. That is Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 8, verse 128, I believe. Let me just check. Yes, Madhya Leela 128. Kiba Vipra Kibya Nasi Shudra Kene Noi, Ye Krishna Tattva Veta Se Guru Hoy. So, Lord Chaitanya makes this very clear, and Srila Prabhupada gives a beautiful purport. He starts off, let's read it. Whether one is a Brahmana, a sannyasi, or a Shudra,
Hare Krishna
regardless of what
Mataji.
he...
Sorry
Huh?
to interject. Which verse did you say? Because CC Madhya
8,
828.
128. 8, 128.
Okay, sorry Mataji.
That's okay. 8, 128.
128, okay.
Because Lord Chaitanya, he is empowering anyone who knows the science of Krishna consciousness. He is fit to become spiritual master. And Srila Prabhupada took this verse so seriously. In fact, the very first line of the purport says that. Okay, let's read the translation first. Whether one is a Brahmana, a sannyasi, or a Shudra, regardless of what he is, he can become a spiritual master if he knows the science of Krishna. Purport. This verse is very important to the Krishna consciousness movement. In his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that one should not think that because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born a Brahmana and was situated in the topmost spiritual order as a sannyasi, it was improper for him to receive instructions from Srila Ramananda Roy, who belonged to the Shudra caste. To clarify this matter, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informed Ramananda Roy the knowledge of Krishna consciousness is more important than caste. In the system of Varnashram Dharma, there are various duties for Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. Actually, the Brahmana is supposed to be spiritual master of all the other Varnas or classes. But as far as Krishna consciousness is concerned, everyone is capable of becoming a spiritual master, because knowledge in Krishna consciousness is on the platform of the spirit soul. To spread Krishna consciousness, one need only be cognizant of the science of the spirit soul. It does not matter whether one is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Sannyasi, Grihastha, or whatever. If one simply understands this science, he can become a spiritual master. Let's go further down, skip one paragraph and go to the next part of the purport. Okay, hold on. Not so far down. Just a little before this. Okay, let's stop there. Actually, okay, we are on the next purport. If one understands the truth of Krishna consciousness and seriously desires to attain transcendental knowledge for the perfection of life, he can accept a spiritual master from any social status, provided the spiritual master is fully conversant with the science of Krishna. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati also says the same thing. So, whoever teaches us the science of Krishna consciousness is considered our guru. Now, does that mean that anyone can become guru? No. He must have understood the science of Krishna consciousness perfectly and should be able to explain the scriptural knowledge perfectly in accordance with the disciplic succession. That is very important to understand. So, factually, the qualifications of a spiritual master depend on his knowledge of the science of Krishna. It does not matter whether he is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Sannyasi, or Shudra. This injunction given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not at all against the injunction of Shastras. In the Padma Puran, it is said, Na Shudra Bhagavad Bhaktas Tepi Bhagavata Tottamaha Sarva Varneshu Te Shudra Yena Bhakta Janardani. One who is actually advanced in spiritual knowledge of Krishna is never a Shudra, even if he is born in a Shudra family. However, if one is a Brahmana, an expert in the 6 Brahmanical activities, but he is not a Vaishnav, cannot become a spiritual master. See how clearly Srila Prabhupada is establishing that one who knows the science of Krishna very perfectly and can explain it and teach it, he can become spiritual master. So these are the Shastric injunctions as given here in Chaitanya Charitamrita by Lord Chaitanya himself. Okay, let's go back to the main verse, Prabhu. Thank you. I hope this makes it very clear that even though one may be of lower caste or even dog eater, he can become a spiritual master. I'm so sorry. Just give me 1 second. Sorry for the interruption. I just needed a drink. So, we must never, at any point in our Krishna consciousness movement, look at a foreigner, so-called, or a person who is not coming from a Brahmin caste by birth and say, how is he a devotee? Or how is she a devotee? Or how come they are doing this work of teaching Krishna consciousness? Because they are expert in the science of Krishna consciousness, their spiritual masters have given them that order to preach or teach Krishna consciousness. That gives them the right to be teaching Krishna consciousness, because one must be empowered by the Guru. One must be given the order of the Guru that he can preach Krishna consciousness. It doesn't matter what caste one is from. This caste system became very prominent only much later in Kali Yuga with the fall, with the degradation caused by Shringi, the son of the Brahmana, who was insulted by Maharaj Parikshit, he pronounced the curse on Maharaj Parikshit. And Srila Prabhupada explains that from this point on, the caste system became very rigid because this young boy took so much pride in being a Brahmana that he cursed Maharaj Parikshit, even though that act of his did not warrant such a heavy punishment. He became very proud of his position as a Brahmana's son. He had some Brahma Tejas, that means power, brilliance of being a Brahmana. And so he misused that power. And this is what has caused this rigidity of the caste system. But this is not actually in accordance with the Shastras. And even Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, at one point, he engaged in a debate. At first, he started glorifying the Brahmanas. So the Brahmanas felt very happy. Then he started explaining one by one, point wise, from the scriptures, how a Vaishnav is even greater than a Brahmana. And he was so powerful in his presentation and so clear in quoting the various Shastras that they were completely defeated. And after that, the crowds became so ecstatic, they all came rushing forward to touch his feet. And the police had to keep everybody at bay. What they did was they dipped his lotus feet in a big container of water and then, sprinkle that water over the entire crowd to pacify them. So this was the power of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj in establishing that anyone who knows the science of Krishna consciousness, he is in a position to teach Krishna consciousness to others. So Srila Prabhupada, by empowering his disciples, they were Americans, Europeans, Australians, whoever, they came from very degraded backgrounds. Some of them were taking LSD, drugs, meat eaters, illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, everything. But because they took to the science of Krishna consciousness and followed it very sincerely, immediately all the bad habits fell away. They were in association with the Shaktyavesh avatar, Srila Prabhupada himself. What powerful association! And slowly they got purified of all their bad habits. They progressed in Krishna consciousness, and some of them today are still there as sannyasis, gurus, GBCs in our movement. Yeah, these great souls have been purified by Srila Prabhupada. So the pure devotee is compared to a Chintamani stone. What is a Chintamani stone? It can turn base metal into gold. It can turn base metal into gold. So such is the power of Srila Prabhupada and his pure devotee disciples. Okay, so let's go further below into the purport. If he is conversant with the science of Krishna, he can be accepted as Acharya. So how did Sutta Goswami learn the science? From great rishis and authorities like Shukadev Goswami. So one must be very eager to hear. This is the qualification. One must be very eager to hear. When Srila Prabhupada used to attend the discourses by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, and later on his godbrothers recommended him, Abhay Babu, for initiation, that time his spiritual master remarked, says, yes, I have noted him. He likes to hear. Because Prabhupada was very attentive to what his Guru Maharaj was speaking. Very attentive. He was very absorbed in hearing what his spiritual master had to say. And this is the thing that will give us the ability to speak. If we hear nicely, then we will be able to speak. So one must hear with rapt attention. So Lord Chaitanya revived the system and he elevated even Haridas Thakur to the position of Nam Acharya. Now, who is Haridas Thakur? Yes, he took birth in a Muslim family, but he is actually Lord Brahma, who begged the Lord, please, in your next incarnation, give me a very humble, very lowly birth so that I never again become so puffed up like this and make offenses to you. You remember the Brahma Vimohana Leela, in which Lord Brahma, being very, proud of his own power, kidnapped all the little baby calves and the covered boys and hid them in a cave. And then Krishna defeated him. And then when Brahma came to his senses, he immediately offered obeisances to little Krishna, who had come in the form of a little cowherd boy. And at that time, he offered many prayers. So, therefore, in this incarnation, he was given the birth in a Mohammedan family, very low caste, meat eater, a Muslim family. But Haridas Thakur was a pure devotee from birth. And he was constantly chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This actually enraged all the Muslims. And the Qazi told him, if you continue this, we are going to take heavy action against you. But Srila Haridas Thakur said, even if you cut my body into 100 pieces, each piece will be singing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And so they beat him in 22 marketplaces. But Srila Haridas Thakur was simply praying to the Lord, please forgive them, my Lord. Please do not punish them. They don't know what they're doing. This is the hallmark of great devotees. Even though others harass them, torture them, they simply pray that their torturers, their tormentors should be delivered by the mercy of the Lord. So, Lord Chaitanya was so pleased with Haridas Thakur. He said, my dear Haridas, many people, they preach very nicely, but they don't behave very well. Many of the devotees, they behave very well, but they don't preach. But you, my dear Haridas, you do both very nicely. You preach very nicely and you behave very nicely. So Lord Chaitanya was so pleased. And so he gave him the position of Namacharya Haridas Thakur. Okay, so let's go now. This is the most important part of the purport, the third paragraph in this purport. Let's go below. Such is the power of pure devotees of the Lord. The Ganges water is accepted as pure, and one can become purified by taking the bath in the waters of Ganga. But as far as great devotees of the Lord are concerned, they can purify a degraded soul simply by being seen. What to speak of association? And this is also described in this very beautiful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, where the glory of the pure devotee is being extolled. Let's go to Canto 1, Chapter 1, text number 15, because this is so beautiful and it is exactly suiting this part of the purport of today's class. So therefore, I would like to share this beautiful verse with you. 1:1:15. Yes, that's the one we are talking about. O Sutta, those great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can at once sanctify those who come in touch with them, whereas the waters of the Ganges can sanctify only after prolonged use. See how clearly it is being mentioned, the power of a pure devotee, because they are completely in oneness with the mission of the Lord. They have no personal agenda. They completely want to fulfill the mission of the Lord. That's all. Pure devotees of the Lord are more powerful than the waters of the sacred river Ganges. One can derive spiritual benefit out of prolonged use of Ganges water, but one can be sanctified at once by the mercy of a pure devotee of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that any person, regardless of birth, as Shudra, woman, or merchant, can take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, and by so doing can return back to Godhead. To take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord means, please go below, to take shelter of pure devotees. The pure devotees whose only business is serving are honored by the names Prabhupada, Vishnupad, indicating such devotees to be representatives of the lotus feet of the Lord. Anyone Therefore, who takes shelter of the lotus feet of a pure devotee by accepting the pure devotee as his spiritual master can be at once purified. Such devotees are honored equally with the Lord because they are engaged in the most confidential service of the Lord. For they deliver out of the material world the fallen souls whom the Lord wants to return home back to Godhead. Such pure devotees are better known as wise lords according to revealed scriptures. The sincere disciple of the pure devotee considered the spiritual master equal to the Lord, but always considers himself to be a humble servant of the Lord. This is the pure devotional path. So see how lucky we are, how blessed we are. Hmm? Srila Prabhupada's mercy has come in the form of our spiritual master, who is a pure devotee of the Lord and who is leading us on the path back home, back to Godhead. So it behooves us to take this process and practice as sincerely as we can to follow the instructions of the pure devotee and make our lives successful in Krishna consciousness. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you very much for a very important and Siddhantic verse for the philosophy and for the understanding. So thank you very much. So dear devotees, I would like to open up this session for Q&A. You can ask your questions, raising your hands, put it in the chat window. I can read it out for you. Any comments, realizations? Oh, Silpesh Prabhu, there you go. Thank you very much. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Silpesh Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Gurudev. You will be happy to know that I have come nearer to all of you. I'm in ISKCON Zagreb.
Oh, wonderful. That's where we are. Hungary or?
That's in Croatia.
Oh, Croatia. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Great. Are you coming to London?
I don't know. Let's put it that way. As of now, no such plan, but let's see what Krishna plans.
Yeah, it'd be wonderful to meet you. It would be wonderful. My question was, obviously, I understand why we take shelter of a pure devotee because they're very dear to Krishna and they're like self-realized. But what about serving devotees in general? How does that help us? They're all Vaishnavas and taking their association.
Yes, we have to understand that the Vaishnavas are very dear to the Lord. So regardless of whether they are pure devotees or impure devotees, mixed devotees, whatever level they are, they may be Kanishta Adhikaris, Madhyama Adhikari, Uttama Adhikari, still our mood should be, I'm a humble servant of everyone. So our mood is the same. We are encouraged to serve the great souls because we get purified in their association. When we serve the great souls, we actually get purified simply by being in their presence. And then when we hear from them, when we receive instructions from them, when we get chastised and corrected by them, that is even better. Because who else will teach us the science of Krishna consciousness? Who else will correct us so that we become perfect in service to the Lord? So we should actually welcome chastisement. We should welcome correction because the pure devotee of the Lord only wants you to become perfect in Krishna consciousness and go back home, back to Godhead. So sometimes we may be a little afraid of serving the great souls, and that is natural because we can make great advancement, but we can also make great offenses. So it is natural for us to feel a little, we should be very cautious in our dealings with the great soul. Very, very cautious, very, very careful. And we should take shelter of senior devotees who have become expert in serving the Guru and take their guidance, take their instructions when it comes to, we cannot directly just, do anything we like. So we must always take guidance of those senior devotees who have personally served Gurudev and take their advice, take their instructions in serving the great souls. But you're right. We consider Vaishnav is nothing but a servant, nothing but a servant, because he understands that his position is what? I am your eternal servitor. So therefore, he is always seeking to serve everyone. This is our process. Jivdoya Namaruchi Vaishnav Seva. And Lord Chaitanya becomes very pleased with anyone who is humbly trying to serve, regardless of what little service it may be. It may be the most small, tiny, menial service, doesn't matter. But we do it very sincerely, just to please Krishna, Guru and Krishna. I hope that helps.
Very, very helpful. It's just what I need to hear, because I just had some doubts about serving devotees, and am I doing
Nice question.
am I doing it
Yeah, always. We should always have this humble mood of servitorship. Then we are in a good position. Then we will even see opportunities for service. You see? And Krishna will see our eagerness to serve. He will give more chances to serve also. We should be eager for service.
What about when you see devotees progressing faster than you and you feel a bit envious or a bit jealous? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, sometimes this happens. We feel, oh, look at this devotee. He's doing so nicely. He's, preaching so nicely. He's, taking care of devotees so nicely. This happened to me, and I wrote to Gurudev. I saw one very elevated devotee who was with me. He was actually, we both were in college together as medical college mates together. I went off to America, I had a different life, and he was in India, and now he's a very, very great devotee and in a very big position, doing so much preaching. So I was writing to Gurudev, oh my God, I have done nothing. Look at my life, what I am. I feel so small. I feel so ridiculous that what have I done with my life? What have I done for Prabhupada's movement? So Guru Maharaj immediately wrote to me and said, never compare yourself and either feel good about yourself in comparison with others or feel bad about yourself in comparison with others. That is not the thinking of a Vaishnav. This is not the mentality we should indulge in. We should just think, how can I do? We should be in competition with ourselves. Say, how can I do my service better? Because, there's Hanuman and there's the ant, right? In building Lord Ram's bridge. So we all like little ants. We cannot compete with Hanuman. But that doesn't mean the Lord thinks of our service less. Our service is as dear as Hanuman's services to the Lord. So we should just carry on with our own service, trying to do more, trying to do better. That's all. And let other great devotees be great devotees. We will just be small, simple, humble devotees. That's all right. But let us try to do our service nicely. So yes, this happens. We do feel, oh, look at, some of these great devotees, they're doing so nicely. What have I done? This does happen to us from time to time. But then I keep Gurudev's words in mind that it's not what others are doing or not doing. What are you doing and how you can do it better? That's what we should focus on. Hope that helps.
Yes, and I guess Krishna sees us all equally. We're all part and parcel. So he loves us no matter what.
Right, exactly. We may be big devotees, small devotees, medium devotees, any devotee, neophyte devotee, whatever. But Krishna considers anyone who comes to him as very dear to him. Very true. Nice questions.
Thank you, Prabhuji. The devotees, any other thoughts, questions, or even follow-ups from Prabhuji's questions and the answers given? Amritanam Mataji. If it's okay, you can turn on your camera as well. And for the other devotees as well, we are very few on the call today, so we can make it a bit personal if we can turn on our cameras if possible. Thank you. So Mataji, go ahead and ask your question.
Camera is not working, that is why. Just
That's
backside
okay.
camera.
We can't, that's okay. You can go ahead and ask the question.
Okay, first of all, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Gurudev. Wonderful lecture as usual, Mataji, and all glories to the wonderful Vaishnavas.
Please accept my most humble obeisances, Amrit Nam, and all glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Gurudev, and all glories to my wonderful God family here.
So I could just recall one not pastime, but incident of Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj from this purport. So I would like to share it. I barely remember, so forgive me for the gaps in between. But it's a nice incident, so I was just share. I would just like to share it. So once Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj was in Vrindavan, and he got a piece of bread in donation, and he gave it to the Bhangis of Vrindavan. And the Brahmins of Vrindavan, they were very upset with Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, and they said that um, you are such an you belong to the higher caste. This kind of act doesn't suit you. Why are you doing like this? So Das Babaji Maharaj said that these Bhangis are you should not consider them lowly. They are the 88,000 rishis who asked Krishna that we want to serve you in some way, we want to serve Prajatam in some way. So Krishna told them, after I leave, you take birth in the Vraja land. So, and they purposely asked that we want to take born as a low born persons in low caste families, so that we can associate with the Vraj. So they wanted to be the sweepers of Vrindavan. So this is such a we can't even think what Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, he was telling that he was associating with them, he was giving them all this, but the Brahmins could not understand this. But he said, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj said, okay, I want to leave from here. This is a very bad mentality what is going on amongst the Brahmin culture of Vrindavan. But such a nice thing when we are said that we should not create any kind of offenses in the Vrindavan Dham, which includes all these things we don't even know. So even the dog of Vrindavan Dham is so what do you say, worth worshipping. So yeah, this is one pastime I just wanted to share. I just recently heard it, so I thought I would share it. Thank you.
Very nice, Amritanam. Thank you for sharing this with us, because when we hear how these great souls conducted themselves, what wonderful acts they performed, all these are very instructive for us to remember that anyone in the holy land of Raj can be a pure devotee. We may not even know it. So every creature in Vrindavan is so dear to the Lord. And even as you said, whether it's a dog or a parrot or a peacock or a tree or a lizard or a snake or anything, any creature in Vrindavan is very dear, because we never know in their next life what they are going to be. They are all going to go back to Godhead, because even the monkeys, they have taken birth over there. Next life, they're going to go back to Godhead. So they're very special, very dear to Krishna. And we may see, oh, this is a Bhangi, but we don't know. We don't know who that person is. So you're absolutely correct. We should be very careful in the holy land of Raj, not to make offenses.
Yeah. Also, I would like to shared my realization that, before just a couple of months, or yeah, I used to think that when I heard about Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Vamshi Das Babaji Maharaj, I think they hardly, no, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj had disciples. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj just had one disciple, but I used to think that they're such elevated personalities. Why they don't take disciples? I mean, so I think the verse which you referred, one of them clearly said that even seeing those personalities purify us. So they are for that purpose. So I would like to thank you that that the reference was quite clear for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to serve the devotees. Please give me your blessings so that I do more and do better.
You you are already getting the blessings as you're going to study Shikshashtakam under the divine words of Guru Maharaj. So just good luck with that and have a great time. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Amritana. When I come back, I can share with you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mataji. Anything else? Any other questions? Comments? Mataji, if I can share one. I was reading Canto 4, the episode of Daksha and Sati and Lord Shiva. And when there was cursing and counter cursing going on because there was harsh words spoken by Daksha in the arena to Lord Shiva, and the followers of Lord Shiva got angry and they started cursing, and there was cursing and counter cursing going on. Nandishwara, they cursed the Brahmanas there, that the Brahmanas would just, these Brahmanas will just, they follow the vows of austerity, sacrifice just in the name only, and they will have no discrimination with regards to what to eat and what not to eat. They will go from door to door begging money just for the satisfaction of fulfilling the bellies. So that was the curse given by Nandishwara at that point as well to the Brahmanas. And obviously there was a lot of other counter cursing going, and Prabhupada was writing in that purport that this is very rampant and this is very true in the age of Kali Yuga, where the Brahmanas have left the studies of the Brahman, the Supreme Brahman, and they are not interested in the occupational duties themselves. However, if somebody else wants to acquire that qualifications through Brahminical knowledge, through gurus, to the right path, they would heavily object and they would hinder their progress. And then Prabhupada mentions this verse about his conversation with Ramanand Rai, the verse that you mentioned. So I just thought I mentioned this in this purport, that Kali Yuga is acting, and there was a lot of curses happened before that as well, because of which the so-called caste brahmanas are in that position as where they are at the moment.
Yeah, this is a very unfortunate happening because Kali Yuga has progressed. Therefore, all this atmosphere being so vitiated. Actually, the caste Brahmins, they just want to make money. Many of them have inherited temples. They are the hereditary caste Goswamis. It's all a big business, basically. How much they can make money and fill their bellies through the seva of the deity. They are not interested in giving transcendental knowledge. They don't have transcendental knowledge. They do not read the scriptures. They do not accept a bona fide spiritual master. They are just going by the lineage. I have taken birth in this family, I'm Brahmana. And they carry on with the business of selling the deity form of the Lord in order to make money. But this is not going to help in advancing in transcendental knowledge. Far from it. In fact, Krishna becomes very displeased with such people, and they will actually end up offending devotees of the Lord and other people. So actually, it is not, proper on their part to continue this kind of business. This is all false.
Yes.
False propaganda.
Yes, Mataji. It is, yeah, because when we are also in our social structures, we are all living in a community, devotee community, but also we have our community from the caste, from the families we are born. And when we see that when certain samskaras or events or some pujas needs to happen, you kind of think, and that has to be done because it's been done in the families, and it's just part of the rituals that's done, and you don't find qualified people to do that, but you still have to go ahead and do that. So the only thing we can do is complement or make sure that Harinam is a prominent thing in those ceremonies and distribution of Bhagavad Prasad, Krishna Prasad. And I mean, that's how we can mitigate. But yeah, it's. And Prabhuji also I mean, again, I was reading this because I've just given my Bhakti Vaibhav exam, so everything is fresh from last 2 days. On Canto 4, first 13 chapters in which.
Wow, congratulations, Dinanath Gauranga
No, we're just
Prabhu. You
giving the
should start
exams. I
giving
don't know
us
the
classes
results.
here.
There are many exams, so this was one of them. But Prabhuji, there is where in the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj, there is a verse that is coming, which says that if you remain, the verse goes like this, that every man should follow this. When he meets a man, when he meets a person more qualified than himself, then he should be very pleased. When he meets somebody less qualified than himself, then he should be compassionate. And then when he meets somebody equal to himself, he should make friendship with him. In this way, if everybody behaves in this way, then one is never afflicted by the threefold miseries of the material world. And the reason I was kind of linking it to your question there is when you said that when we see somebody who is a junior and they're making progress, where we were thinking that they are under our shelter, our umbrella, or they are my mentees or you feel compassionate towards them, you try to help them. But when they're progressing, we feel, oh, I'm not progressing, but they are able to chant more. I can't get up in the morning, but they are getting up more. And this is what you can see the relevance of that verse, that now they're progressing, we needs to start respecting them. Or maybe before you thought they were down, then they would come to your level, and then probably if they're sincere, then they would go above your level in the spiritual. So you're compassionate towards being friendly, towards respecting them. And this is the thing, right? When you see a junior progressing more, that respect is difficult because our ego comes in. Why? I've been following, I'm a seasoned devotee. I know everything, but this is where the whole test is, right? The Bhagavatam and our scriptures are so clear. And I think that verse was very important. And that verse is again repeated afterwards when Dhruva Maharaj got really, really angry at Yakshas killing his brother, and Dhruva Maharaj indiscriminately using the Narayan astras. He was indiscriminately killing thousands of Yakshas and sending them to Brahmaloka. And his great grandfather, Swayambhu Manu, comes on the scene with the sages, and he's trying to pacify, say, stop up, give up this anger. This is not befitting the dynasty. So many wonderful reasons are given. But one of the reasons was that you should now please the Lord, because and he gives how to please the Lord by saying the same things, being tolerant. We can be tolerant towards our seniors, tolerant when we are ill-treated by the envious people. When we are tolerant, we are merciful to the devotees or the individuals which are not less than, let's say, qualified, and make friendship with equals. And he says, if you do that, so then if you have that behavior, being tolerant, merciful, and friendship, then the Lord will be pleased. And what happens when the Lord will be pleased? In that verse it says, or the following verses says that you will become free from the three modes of the material effects. You will be above the subtle and the gross material conceptions, and then you will achieve Vaikuntha Loka. So this was also very nice because there was a very specific instruction how you can please the Lord by this behavior, and Lord is very pleased with those behaviors. So, and not just only with the devotees, with everyone. because Lord is present in the hearts of every living entity. So it is, yeah. Sorry, Mataji, I just thought I shared something. I've taken more time for that, but I just thought I share those two things that I've just I've just written in my
Very
exam
nice.
paper over the weekend.
Yeah, it's beautiful what you shared, that, there is a certain etiquette, and this is the way we can please Krishna. And in the wonderful process of practicing in this way, we can become free of the modes of material nature. Imagine the torment of Durga Devi will end. Instead of constantly being lashed by her trident, we will actually become free simply by practicing this. So, therefore, Vaishnav must always be thinking of how to become more humble, more tolerant, more patient, more loving, more kind. These qualities have to be actively practiced, the 26 qualities of Vaishnav. So thank you. Thank you for bringing out these points. And what you said, that when we see our juniors making progress, going very rapidly up in Krishna consciousness, they become our equals, they may race past us also, they may become superior. That time we should be humble enough to acknowledge that and offer that respect. I'll give you one example. Your own god brother Radhanath Maharaj's disciple Anand Vrindavan Prabhu is
Hmm.
in Chopati. And at one point, he and Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj, they were friends. They were friends. They were both bhaktas together. But Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Maharaj took sannyas and, became very elevated. At that time, he says that the relationship changed, that I took guidance from him. He guided me in so many important matters. So Anand Vrindavan no longer saw him as, oh, this is just my pal, this is just my buddy. He respected him as a senior in terms of Krishna consciousness, as more advanced, and a sannyasi who is capable of giving him direction, guidance. And he took those instructions to heart, and he says that saved him in Krishna consciousness. So it is in our best interest to acknowledge if someone is superior, good for us. They are kind enough to be our friends and guide us. We should be very thrilled that they are giving their mercy to us instead of becoming, oh, so what? Krishna is very pleased with him, and he's giving him the facilities to make advancement. If I try to please Krishna, maybe Krishna will also help me to advance. Why we should feel this one is advancing? We should all be thinking of advancing. But if someone is advancing more rapidly, we should say, yay, wonderful, this process works. My faith is even more solidified now. I'm so happy to see this. And we should feel inspired actually by seeing the progress of others. Isn't it?
Yes, Mataji, and I think I was thinking that even when we feel, so there's two situations can happen. Either we feel jealous or feel not comfortable, and in that instance, we should try to, like Prabhupada said, if you don't feel enthusiastic, act one. So at least you can start with glorifying their progress, right? Even though inside of the heart there's envy, there's sort of, not happy with those things, but at least you can start with those. So that's one option. Intense prayers to the Lord and accepting that it shouldn't be like this, but please help me, Lord. And the second thing happens is that you genuinely will appreciate and you genuinely will be happy. And then you will genuinely start, as I said, depending on the relationship and the progress, you might even start taking counsel from those and discussions with those devotees. But if that happens, then automatically you are also progressing and we are also progressing, because when just to accept that fact naturally, we are also progressing. So it is a wonderful process. And the key
Well
thing is we
said.
got to be honest with ourselves, because we put a different face to ourselves than what we are. I mean, not I do it all the time, where you think, oh, I'm not like that, but inside you are like that.
You're
So
absolutely correct. Even Mahatma Prabhu says the same thing. I just attended one Japa retreat workshop. Even though you don't feel like it, you still try to act in the right way. Even though it may not exactly, like, I don't want name, I don't want fame, but inside you actually want, right? I want name, I want fame. Doesn't matter. Even though you may have those feelings, you still do the right thing. You act in the right way. And that problem will melt away simply by acting in the right way. We will get the right attitude, Krishna will be pleased and will bless us with more understanding and clarity of that situation. So, yes, what's more important is to not get carried away by those feelings and do the wrong thing, but remain calm and controlled and continue to do the right thing.
Mataji, just one more comment. Sorry, I know we're over time, but just one more comment, which, when we practice Krishna consciousness, when we try to preach to others as well, to say maybe we should be humble, we should be doing this, we should be doing that. I always compare this to like a test match. Sorry, cricket, because from India, we follow cricket. It still stayed with me. So, you're always doing test match. You're practicing in the nets all the time, right? You're practicing in the net. So we're telling devotees how we should act, how we should read. We're reading Prabhupada's book, so we're practicing. And Krishna says, all right, okay, let me put you now. You are selected for the final match now, or a proper match. Let's see how you get on. And this is where we think, oops, this is not what I thought how it would be. So when you think like that, you should think now this is your test. This is your real, your Krishna is putting to see how you're going to practice the philosophy, how you're going to practice the things that you heard. And yes, we may fail, but that's okay. At least we acknowledge that we are failing somewhere, and at least we need to get better. But again, it comes down to being honest with ourselves. And
Oh, yeah, Krishna will show you. Krishna will show you, At one point after I went to Mayapur, I was thinking, oh, I've gone to Mayapur. I must have made so much advancement just by being in the dham and this and that. So Krishna said, oh, you think you made so much advancement? Let me show you. And that very day, I lost my temper with someone. I had to apologize profusely. It was embarrassing. And Krishna showed me, don't think you're so advanced just because you come to Dham. You still have to work on your anarthas. So yeah, we may, talk like I always think to myself that knowledge alone is not enough. One must practice the purificatory process in order to cleanse the heart. That is where is the real work of Krishna consciousness. Somebody may not have very great knowledge of scriptures or very great handle on deity worship and all that, but if they're sincerely practicing and they're purifying their hearts, that is very pleasing to Krishna.
thank you very much. Thank you, Shilpesh Prabhu, for asking that question and triggering this wonderful conversation. So I think we
you.
are Mataji. Sorry, Prabhu, you want to say something?
I was going to thank you both. It's a wonderful, wonderful discussion. My go-to is like, go and give a person a hug. I think that
Yeah,
melts
why
away
not?
so much. That melts away so much of what's covering our hearts. Just go and give them a hug.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And so, Mataji, we are 7 minutes above. If you're okay with your permission, we can conclude today's class. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you to all the dear devotees who have taken time out to attend and give us your valuable association. My humble obeisances to everyone. And I humbly seek your blessings so that I may outgrow my anarthas and try to become a better devotee.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for today's class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Vancha
Thank you.
kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय।
जय श्रीदेवी की जय।